Welcome back to the Deep Dive. If you're here, you want to get up to speed on complex stuff fast. Today, we're jumping into something pretty significant in the Ethereum space, EIP-7702. It's part of the upcoming Pectra hard fork, and it promises to change quite a bit about how we use Ethereum counts. We're going to unpack what it is, why it's a big deal, the potential upsides, and importantly, the things to watch out for. For this, we've looked at talks from ETH Denver and ETH Global folks like Jan Gorsny and Martin Durka from Zirkit, plus insights from the Reddit Guild, the Ethereum Foundation, Alchemy Fireblocks, and the actual EIP spec itself. So, our mission today, give you a really clear understanding of EIP-7702 and what it could mean.
Exactly. It's not just about what it is, but why it matters, right? The implications. So maybe let's start right there. Practically speaking, what is EIP-7702?
Okay, yeah, let's dive in. I know it's a new transaction type, right? Type 4. How does that actually affect my regular Ethereum account, my EOA?
That's the core of it. Right now, your standard account, the one you control with a private key, your EOA, it's pretty distinct from a smart contract account. EIP-7702 introduces this new transaction type that lets your EOA temporarily act like a smart contract. Think of it as giving your normal account temporary superpowers borrowed from a smart contract.
Temporary superpowers. Okay, intriguing.
Yeah.
How does my account get these powers all of a sudden?
It works using something called a delegation designator. It's basically a small pointer. This pointer tells your account which smart contract code to borrow its abilities from. It points to that code's address. And this pointer gets written into your EOA's code field just for the duration of the transaction.
So my account points to a smart contract for a bit. Wow, okay. That sounds like it could enable a lot.
It really does. And the permission for this temporary link that comes via an authorization list inside this new transaction type, it's like, oh, like a permission slip signed by you, the EOA owner. The signed message says, okay, for this transaction, I authorize my account to act using the code at this specific smart contract address. It includes key details like the chain ID, the contract address, and a nonce that's a unique number to prevent reuse. Really important.
Got it. So I sign off, and my EOA can suddenly do things only smart contracts could do before. What sort of things are we talking about? Why is this needed? What's the payoff?
Well, the biggest driver, honestly, is user experience, making things smoother. Think about how many times you have to do multiple transactions for one logical action, like using a DX with a new token. You usually have to approve the token first, one transaction, then do the swap, second transaction.
Right.
EIP-7702 allows you to bundle the approve and the swap into a single transaction.
Oh, okay. That's a big difference. Just one confirmation, one gas fee instead of two. That's much less clicking around.
Exactly. It cuts down on the friction, especially for people maybe not super deep into Web3 mechanics.
What other UX wins does it bring?
Another really exciting one is sponsorship. Transaction sponsorship. Imagine trying out a new dApp, but you don't have any ETH yet for gas. Big hurdle for new users. With 7702, the dApp itself, or maybe an L2 like Zirkit is planning, or even just a friend, could pay the gas fee for you.
Whoa, seriously. That's huge for onboarding. No more go buy ETH first just to try this.
Precisely. It lowers that initial barrier significantly, and it could also smooth out using multiple chains. The temporary smart contract logic could help manage interactions across different networks more seamlessly behind the scenes.
Okay, so better UX is clear. But you mentioned superpowers. Does it add actual new capabilities or security features too?
Oh, definitely. One of the most talked about is enabling social recovery for EOAs. Think about the fear of losing your private key. It's a major anxiety point. With EIP-7702, you could delegate to a smart contract that implements recovery logic, maybe allowing trusted friends or services to help you regain access if you lose your key.
Wow, okay. That addresses a massive pain point, making crypto look intimidating.
Absolutely. And then there's privilege de-escalation. You could delegate to that sets up different rules for different keys linked to your account. Maybe one key can only spend $100 of USDC per day. Another can only interact with certain NFT contracts. Granular control.
So like setting permissions within my own account?
Yeah. Using the delegated code's logic. Session keys are another angle, temporary permissions for a specific app or action that expire or can be revoked. Much safer than infinite approvals. You could even have your EOA temporarily function as a multi-sig, requiring multiple signatures for certain actions, but still have your main private key as a backup. Or even a more complex stuff, like letting your EOA act as an AMM liquidity provider directly. It just makes the EOA more flexible and future-proof.
Right, adding layers of control and functionality that weren't possible before for a standard account.
Exactly. And it's really important to see this in the context of account abstraction, or AA. EIP-7702 is seen by many as a big stepping stone towards full AA. It lets users get a taste of smart account features, batching, sponsorship, recovery on their familiar EOA. It helps bootstrap adoption and understanding, and it's designed to be compatible with other AA efforts like EIP-4337.
Okay, so it's a pathway, a way to bring some AA benefits to existing accounts without forcing a full migration yet.
You got it. It bridges the gap.
All right, the why is compelling. Let's get into the how a bit more, the technical nuts and bolts.
Sure. So as we said, it's transaction type 4. The key parts are the authorization list and the effect on the EOA's code field. When the transaction executes, for each valid authorization in the list, the EOA's code field is temporarily set to this delegation designator. That designator is just 23 bytes, a magic number, 0us, 0100, plus the 20-byte address of the smart contract code you're delegating to.
So it's just pointing to existing code, not deploying new code.
Exactly. It's creation by template, as the EIP calls it. Points to existing, likely audited code. This keeps the transaction smaller and cheaper than including init code. Any specific setup for that delegated code, like setting your recovery guardians, usually needs a separate call after the delegation is active.
Makes sense for efficiency. What about gas costs? This is more expensive.
There's a new cost component. The intrinsic gas cost is higher, adding 25,000 gas for each authorization in the list. But there's a potential refund of 12,500 gas per authorization if the EOA already has code or not set, basically, if it's not a brand new account being touched for the first time, subject to normal refund caps, of course. And the target contract address is added to the accessed addresses list, which helps with gas via convenience warming for later calls in the same transaction.
Okay. And the authorization itself, how does that signature work? Again, I changed my mind.
The signature structure is pretty flexible, designed to cover the chained, the target address, and the nonce. Signing over the address directly simplifies things. And crucially, yes, you can always revoke it. It's temporary delegation tied to the transaction's execution context by default, or you can make it stickier until revoked. To revoke or change the delegation later, you just send another EIP-7702 transaction with an updated authorization using your current nonce, pointing to a different contract, or even the zero address to clear it completely.
Right, so the EOA owner stays in control. Good. Now, you mentioned something technical earlier about tx.origin and msg.sender. What was that about?
Yeah, that's a subtle but important point, mostly for developers. Currently, there's an invariant. For calls originating directly from an EOA, tx.origin, the ultimate initiator of the whole transaction, is the same as msg.sender, the immediate caller. EIP-7702 breaks this invariant when the delegated code makes a call. If your EOA delegates to contract A, and contract A then calls contract B inside contract B, msg.sender will be your EOA's address. But tx.origin will still be whoever started the initial 7702 transaction. Some older contracts require msg.sender equals tx.origin as a simple check against certain reentrancy or proxy scenarios. While that's generally seen as bad practice now.
Developers need to be aware that check might fail unexpectedly if they interact with an EOA using 7702.
Exactly. It's a potential compatibility issue they need to consider, though hopefully not widespread given modern security practices.
Okay, understood. Important heads up for developers now. Let's pivot to the risks. What are the potential foot guns, the security concerns here?
This is absolutely critical. The power of delegation comes with risks. Number one is malicious delegation. If a user gets tricked, say by a phishing site, into signing an EIP-7702 authorization that points to malicious code.
They could basically hand control of their account over to an attacker for that transaction, or longer if the delegation persists.
Precisely. The malicious code could drain assets, approve spending, anything the EOA could normally do. Wallets have to be extremely clear and careful about presenting these authorization requests to users.
Yeah, the wallet UI becomes paramount there. What else?
Front-running attacks are a concern, especially highlighted by Fireblocks in relation to existing smart contract wallets if someone tries to delegate to them using 7702. Because 7702 itself doesn't handle the initialization of the delegated contract state, an attacker could see an authorization transaction in the mempool aimed at an older wallet and rush in their own transaction to initialize that wallet contract for the user's EOA, but setting themselves as the owner or controller, basically hijacking the account setup.
Oof. So delegating to older smart contract wallets might be risky until they're updated to handle this initialization securely.
Very risky, yes. Newer designs or specific 7702-aware delegate contracts are needed. Relatedly, delegating to an upgradable proxy contract adds trust assumptions. The proxy admin could upgrade the implementation to malicious code later.
Right, you're trusting the proxy owner as well as the current code.
Then there are storage collisions. If you delegate to contract A, it writes some data to your EOA's storage. Then you switch delegation to contract B. If A and B don't carefully manage their storage slots, like using standardized storage layouts, EIP-7201, contract B might overwrite or misinterpret data left by contract A, leading to bugs or exploits. Remember, the EOA storage isn't cleared when you change delegation.
Ah, okay, so the delegated contracts need to be good neighbors in terms of storage usage.
Definitely. Replay attacks are another classic risk if the delegate code or its initialization logic is sloppy. For instance, if an initialization function doesn't properly check the signature or misses the chain ID or nonce, an attacker might replay it elsewhere or later. And basic access control is vital. The Red Guild showed examples of delegate contracts that just lack checks, like require MSG.sender on owner. If you delegate to code like that, literally anyone could call its functions and control your EOA through it. Total disaster.
Okay, it really hammers home the point. The security of this whole thing hinges massively on the quality and security of the smart contract code you delegate to.
That is the absolute core takeaway on security. It's not the EIP itself that's inherently unsafe, but the potential for users to delegate to unsafe code. This means we desperately need community-vetted, audited, standardized delegate contracts for common use cases, batching, sponsorship recovery, etc. Like Jan Gorsny emphasized, standardization and audits are key for safe adoption.
So, huge potential, but users and developers need to be super diligent about what code they're interacting with via delegation.
Couldn't say it better. It's a powerful tool, needs responsible use, which brings us back to account abstraction. As we said, it's a step towards AA, offering some benefits now on EOAs. But it's not the full endgame. Native AA, like EIP-4337, aims for deeper integration, like alternative signature schemes and removing the EOA contract distinction more fundamentally. But 7702 is seen as a compatible and useful step on that road.
A bridge, like we said, makes sense.
And it's good to see the ecosystem preparing. Wallets, infrastructure providers like Alchemy with their account kit, Zerkit focusing on sequencer-level security around this. They're building tools. Testnets like Odyssey have been live for devs to experiment. Tools like Cast and Forge are getting updated. Zerkit's plan to potentially launch it on their rollup even before mainnet is interesting a way to battle test it.
Yeah, getting real-world usage early seems smart for shaking out bugs or unforeseen issues. It shows this is very much an active development area.
Absolutely. Standards, best practices, secure implementations, that's all being actively discussed and built right now. Community involvement is crucial.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up. Key takeaways. What should people really remember about EIP-7702?
I'd say 1. Huge potential for better Ethereum UX batching transactions, gas sponsorship. 2. Enables powerful new security features for EOAs, especially social recovery. 3. It's a major step towards account abstraction, bringing smart account features to regular accounts.
But I had a big but.
But yeah, security is paramount. The risk of delegating to malicious CAN is real. Users need protection via wallets, and the ecosystem needs secure, audited delegate contracts. Storage collisions and initialization attacks are also things to watch. The safety depends entirely on the delegated code.
And the community's role in building those safe standards and testing everything thoroughly is vital.
Absolutely critical. Testing on testnets, contributing to standards, that's how we make this work safely.
So as Pectra approaches, EIP-7702 is definitely one of the most impactful changes to keep an eye on. Could really change the feel of using dApps.
For sure. And maybe a final thought for everyone listening. How might these new capabilities, batching, sponsorship, better security options, change the way you interact with Web3? It's worth thinking about the possibilities. Definitely dig into the resources if you want to learn more.
Great point. Thanks for breaking all that down. That was really insightful deep dive. We'll definitely be tracking EIP-7702's progress. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Join us next time for another deep dive.